Hello everyone, welcome to the English Vault. Today, we follow Ricky Martin, a performer who learned that applause can fill a stadium and still leave one important question unanswered. Am I free to be myself? His story moves from a Caribbean childhood to boy band pressure, from global pop explosion to personal truth, from perfect smiles on stage to a more honest kind of peace. It is a story about rhythm, discipline, identity, and the courage to stop living only for the version of you that others understand. Chapter 1. The Boy with Rhythm. Ricky Martin was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a place where music is not only entertainment, it is part of the air. Rhythm can come from streets, family gatherings, radio, dance, and celebration. For a young boy with energy and curiosity, that environment offered a language before fame ever appeared. He was not simply interested in being watched. He was drawn to performance, to movement, to the feeling of becoming larger than ordinary life for a few minutes. That desire can be beautiful, but it can also be demanding. The stage rewards confidence, yet it asks for discipline long before confidence feels natural. As a child, Ricky appeared in commercials and began learning the practical side of entertainment. Cameras, marks on the floor, repeated takes, direction, patience. These small experiences trained him to understand that charisma alone is not enough. A performer must repeat with freshness. He must look spontaneous while being prepared. Behind every natural performer, there is usually a hidden workshop. Hours of practice, corrections, tired moments, the ability to smile when the body wants to rest. Ricky's early years gave him that foundation. They also taught him something more complicated. When people love your energy, they may begin expecting that energy all the time. That expectation would follow him. It would become louder, bigger, and more expensive. But in the beginning, it was still a boy discovering that music could open doors, and that every open door could lead to another room with new rules. Chapter 2. Menudo and the Machine. Ricky joined Menudo as a teenager, entering one of Latin pop's most famous youth machines. For young fans, Menudo looked exciting. Songs, choreography, travel, bright clothes, and screaming crowds. For the boys inside it, the experience was also intense, controlled, and exhausting. A boy band teaches many skills quickly. You learn to dance in formation. You learn to sing while moving. You learn to handle interviews, schedules, and constant attention. You also learn that your personal life can become smaller while the public image becomes larger. Ricky gained experience that few teenagers ever receive. He performed across countries. He saw how audiences respond to rhythm and emotion, even when languages change. He learned professional stamina. But the cost was real. Youth becomes work. Growth happens under lights. Mistakes are not private. This is why the Menudo chapter matters. It gave him a platform, but it also introduced the pressure of being packaged. In entertainment, packaging can protect a career and limit a person at the same time. It tells the audience what to expect. It also tells the performer where not to step. Ricky carried the benefits and the burden. He left with stronger skills, wider recognition, and a deeper understanding of how the industry moves. But he also had to ask a question many former child or teen stars face. Who am I when the group, the image, and the old role are no longer enough? The answer would not arrive all at once. It would come through acting, solo music, risk, reinvention, and years of living between public celebration and private tension. Chapter 3. Becoming a Solo Voice. After Menudo, Ricky Martin had to rebuild his identity. That is harder than it sounds. When people first know you as part of a group, they may not immediately hear your individual voice. They remember the collective energy before they notice the person stepping forward alone. Ricky moved into acting and solo music, especially in Latin America, where his name already carried attention. He was not starting from zero, but he was not finished either. He needed to prove that he could hold a stage by himself, carry emotion without the group around him, and make choices that belonged to his own artistic direction. The solo path required patience. Each song, each role, each interview became part of a new architecture. He was building a bridge between the boy people remembered and the man he was becoming. That bridge could not be built only with charm. It needed material, stronger vocals, sharper performance, better songs, and a clearer sense of purpose. As his career grew, Ricky became known for intensity. He performed with his whole body. His movement was not decoration, it was part of the message. He brought urgency to the stage, a feeling that the song was not sitting still but running toward the audience. That urgency connected deeply with Latin pop traditions and with a broader global hunger for energy, but the next breakthrough would require a larger leap. Ricky would have to cross from regional and Spanish language fame into the center of the English-speaking pop market, a place that often welcomes difference only when it can also sell it. Chapter 4. The Night the World Looked Up. In 1999, Ricky Martin's performance of The Cup of Life at the Grammy Awards became a turning point. For many viewers in the United States, it was the moment they suddenly looked up and asked, "Who is this?" The performance had speed, precision, confidence, and a kind of joy that felt impossible to ignore. A live performance can change a career because it removes excuses. There is no studio polish to hide behind. The body, the voice, the timing, the crowd, all meet in real time. Ricky met that moment with force. He did not simply sing a song. He announced a presence. Soon after, Levine, La Vida Loca became a global hit. The title itself carried movement. The sound felt bold, theatrical, and instantly memorable. For a period, Ricky seemed to represent an entire pop wave. Latin rhythm entering mainstream English-language charts with explosive confidence. But global success can simplify a person. The world loves a clear image. Ricky became the energetic star, the handsome performer, the symbol of a crossover moment. That image brought opportunity, but it also became another kind of box. Inside the success, there was pressure to keep delivering heat, style, and desire. There was pressure to remain acceptable to markets that wanted excitement without too much complexity. And there was a deeper private question that fame could not answer. The world had finally looked up. The stadiums were loud. The cameras were close. Yet the most important audience, the self, was still waiting for a more honest performance. Chapter 5. The Private Cost of a Public Smile. A public smile can be generous. It can invite people in. It can carry gratitude. But sometimes it can also hide exhaustion, loneliness, or fear. Ricky Martin's image was bright, magnetic, and successful, but the inner life behind that image was more complicated. For years, he navigated questions about identity, privacy, and expectation. The entertainment industry often sells confidence, while quietly punishing honesty that does not fit the product. For an artist with a global audience, every personal truth can feel like a professional risk. That risk is difficult to explain if you have never lived inside it. Imagine being celebrated by millions, yet feeling that one honest sentence could change how some of them see you. Imagine hearing applause and wondering whether it belongs to you or only to the version of you that feels safe for others. Ricky continued working. He made music, acted, toured, and remained visible. But success did not remove the need for inner alignment. In fact, success can delay alignment because the public version is rewarded so strongly. If the world pays you to be a certain image, changing that image can feel like stepping off a moving train. This is one of the most human parts of his story. Many people, famous or not, know what it means to perform a version of themselves. They become the strong one, the funny one, the perfect one, the acceptable one. The role works until it starts costing too much. For Ricky, the question grew clearer over time. Could a life built on performance become a life built on truth? The answer would require courage, not the loud courage of a stadium, but the quiet courage of choosing peace over control. Chapter 6: Choosing Truth. In 2010, Ricky Martin publicly came out as gay. The announcement was personal, clear, and deeply meaningful for many people who had watched him for years. It was not only a celebrity headline, it was a human act of self-acceptance made in front of a world that had often demanded a simpler image from him. The courage of that moment should not be reduced to publicity. Coming out can be different for every person, shaped by family, culture, faith, career, safety, and timing. For Ricky, it came after years of public attention and private reflection. It was a decision to stop letting fear manage the story. What changed was not his talent. What changed was the relationship between the artist and his own life. The same voice could sing. The same body could dance. The same performer could stand under lights. But the foundation was different, because truth had entered the room. Many fans responded with love and respect. Others needed time, or reacted through the limits of their own expectations. That is often how truth works. It does not control every response. It simply refuses to remain hidden, only to protect someone else's comfort. Ricky later spoke about family, fatherhood, and the desire to live with more openness. His identity became not a career obstacle, but part of a larger human story. The smile on stage could now carry less fear behind it. This chapter is inspiring because it reminds us that freedom is not always dramatic from the outside. Sometimes freedom is a sentence finally spoken. Sometimes it is a room inside the self, unlocking after years of careful silence. Chapter 7: From Star to Advocate. After choosing greater openness, Ricky Martin's public life expanded in meaning. He was still an entertainer, still connected to music, performance, and global audiences. But the story was no longer only about hits and tours. It was also about using visibility with purpose. He became involved in humanitarian work, including efforts connected to children and human trafficking awareness through his foundation. This part of his life matters because it shows a shift from being seen to helping others be seen. Fame can easily become a mirror. At its best, it becomes a window. Advocacy is not always glamorous. It requires seriousness, patience, and a willingness to speak about painful realities without turning them into spectacle. For a performer associated with joy and rhythm, stepping into difficult social issues showed another dimension of responsibility. Fatherhood also changed the emotional center of his story. Becoming a parent often rearranges a person's priorities. The future becomes less abstract. The question is no longer only, what will people think of me? It becomes, what kind of world am I helping to build for the people I love? Ricky's journey from teen idol to global star to more open public figure suggests that identity is not one performance. It is a series of deeper rooms. Each room asks for a little more honesty. Each room removes a costume that once felt necessary. By this stage, the applause meant something different. It was still part of the music, but it was no longer the only proof of value. The deeper proof was the ability to stand in public without abandoning the private self. Chapter 8. What His Rhythm Teaches. Ricky Martin's story is full of movement. A boy from Puerto Rico, a teenager inside a pop machine, a solo artist searching for his own sound, a global star at the center of a cultural moment, and a man choosing truth after years of pressure. The rhythm of his life was not only musical, it was emotional. Advance, retreat, perform, question, rise, hide, reveal, serve. Each step carried its own beat. Some beats were loud enough for arenas. Others were quiet enough that only the heart could hear them. His journey teaches that success is powerful, but it is not the same as freedom. Applause can celebrate a person and still not fully know him. Fame can open the world and still close a door inside the self. The real victory is not only to be loved by many people, it is to live in a way that does not require hiding from yourself. It also teaches that reinvention is possible. A first image does not have to be a final identity. A role that once helped you survive can be thanked and released. A voice that once sang for approval can learn to sing from a deeper place. There is another lesson in the way his career crossed languages and cultures. He did not succeed by becoming less Puerto Rican or less himself. He succeeded by carrying rhythm, warmth, and presence into wider rooms. The world often asks artists to become easier to label. Ricky's longer journey shows the opposite. The more honest the person became, the more complete the art felt. For anyone listening, the message is simple. Do your work with discipline. Bring energy to the room. Honor the people who helped you begin. But do not confuse performance with peace. At some point, the most important stage is the one where you tell the truth to yourself. If Ricky Martin's story stays with you, remember this. The loudest applause in the world cannot replace the quiet sound of finally breathing freely. This was another story from the English Vault, where English grows through stories with a human heartbeat. Keep listening, keep growing, and I will see you in the next one.